What up, though? My afro. Uh, yeah, alright. So, you guys are kind of watching the vids about the dreams. I think the people who are watching them that are really interested in the world being real, you know, I think you guys are having, you know, some type of reality check just like I am. So, you know, I don't get a lot of views. I'm not making, money on these videos, a few cents here and there. So, uh, uh, but I want to encourage you guys, for one to be strong in the Lord, power of His might. That's real. That's real right there. Uh, God is real. God is not dead. He's real. Okay, that's one thing you can count on. Uh, but so let's talk about uh, another dream that I had. Recurring dreams. It's not just I had these dreams once. Recurring. This was years ago though. This was like maybe 5 years ago. These dreams kept coming and coming. But I want to talk about, now this is more than that, this is more like 10 years ago. But the reason why I want to talk about these dreams is because for one, they were reoccurring. For two, I truly believe that they were real. They were real. Okay, so basically this is what happened. I started having dreams about outer space. Now, I don't believe that outer space is what NASA tells it is. They don't talk about the firmament, which is the shield, pretty much like a snow globe, that we're living in. We really don't know what shape the Earth is. They just tell us what shape the Earth is because we haven't been there. Uh, and God talks about how the waters were separated from the waters above and the waters below by the firmaments. So there's an ocean above your head. Now, let's talk about outer space itself. Is there an outer space? I believe it is, whether it's an ocean or not. I believe that there are other worlds out there. Now, okay, so one of the dreams I had, these beings came to me. It was really interesting. It was like a movie that was split up, but they were humanoid, all right? And I know it wasn't from some movie I watched because they didn't look like anything that I've watched. And they were telling me pretty much about all the other worlds out there in the what we consider the galaxy. Um, but nonetheless, they were showing me different planets. And one being showed me actually where they live in the solar system. So he was like, come here, I'm going to show you this. So basically, what we did was we got on his spaceship. And I don't remember actually walking on the spaceship. I just remember being in the spaceship in the dead of space. Stars all around, like in the distance, just the dead of space. Something like what Tony Stark was like at the beginning of Endgame. It was like that. But like I said, this is 10 years ago, so I didn't reference it from that. Uh, but nonetheless, so we were just sitting there in a spaceship that did not look like Endgame. Uh, and when we were sitting there in the spaceship, he was like, let me show you where we live. And he started mapping out, he said, see the star right here? He was like, this is where we live. So, it was so bugged out because it was in our galaxy. It looked like it was in our galaxy. So, I'm not an astronomer and I don't study astrology, so, you know what I'm saying? I don't have any in-depth studies in those areas. But nonetheless, he was pointing out where it was, and he didn't pull up some, map that would like bleep bleep and just pulled up a map. Didn't do that. He just pointed. But like we were floating in space with no retros firing, no nothing. We were just there, like dead in space. But we weren't in trouble. And he was like, let me show you where we live. So I thought that was, ultra cool. And of course, I woke up from that. Uh, and another time, what he did was, it's a dope truck. Make me want to get a new one. I joined his dope. So basically, what he did, they took me to their planet. And when they took me to their planet, planet was so sick. Everything everything on the planet was round. They were very much into circular shapes. Uh, and when I went there, we landed. I had on a spacesuit. I had on a spacesuit a lot like what they had on. And I noticed that the suits they had were all militarized. So we all look familiar, but all the people and all the beings on there, like they were all from like different species. And so basically, when we landed, they pretty much took me to their leader, and they were these tall beings, pointy, very, but they weren't grays. They weren't grays, but they were these tall, pasty. And some people are going to say, well, they were white people. They were not people. But they were these tall creatures, very, very tall, because I'm 6'2" and I was looking up. Very tall, and they were very slim, had these things on their head and these long gowns. And there was a pretty much like an order of them. So there was not one leader, it was a group of them. And they were talking to me, and they told me, they said, we're at war. And they were pretty much asking me to join the war. And I was like, what are you at war with? And they said planets. So the planets were in the stars. Their suns were colliding, and their planets were colliding. And so we went out into the solar system, and they showed me the violence of space, and they showed me how these whole suns were just colliding into each other. And there was like so many spaceships out there. And so you can imagine what a massive explosion that is. But they were moving so fast, and they were just, and you were like getting sucked into this. It wasn't a black hole, but you would like get sucked into their atmosphere. It was, people were dying, and then you see these other ships came out of nowhere. It looked like, it was just amazing. These other ships, and they were fighting with them. But basically, the planets were moving, and they were colliding into each other physically. And when they did, it was all bad. You know what I'm saying? So, to move on, it was amazing though. And they were telling me, they were like, you're a part of us. So they were convincing me, they were just like, yeah, you're a part of us. You're not alone. You never were alone. It's impossible for you to be alone. You are so opposite of alone that it's not even funny. You are always surrounded by someone. You just get on their frequency, and you can hear them, and sometimes you can see them. And I have seen them like in the physical, regular realm, and they've scared the hell out of me. But nonetheless, so I've seen them in the physical realm. I've seen beings walk out of a wall, and like I know I'm wide awake, and I just watch them come out of a wall. I've seen recently, I've seen beings just show up in my house, and scare the hell out of you because you're not used to it. And I'll be like, one time I was like, I see you, and I've seen all kind of stuff. So it's just amazing what's going on. But nonetheless, they're like, you're not alone. So there's the good and the bad. But anyway, so back to outer space, and these worlds that were just, there's so many of them, and they were literally colliding with each other. These suns were colliding with each other. Space is a very violent place. The laws of space, the way we understand it, is like their understanding is completely different than ours. Uh, our laws of space is, you're here, you spin around this circle, you stay there. No, their laws of space is